Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reading Nook. If you've been following along, we've been exploring the themes of Blackness, reclassification, and the legacy of colonialism. Today, in Part 3, we're diving deeper into the legal structures that governed the British American colonies before independence, especially focusing on inheritance, land laws, and the overarching order of law that was supposed to be upheld. Let's get started. Common law rooted in scripture and divine order. Before independence, the British American colonies were governed by English common law, which was deeply rooted in scriptural principles. Common law wasn't just a set of rules, it was an expression of divine law, reflecting Levitical and ecclesiastical laws that emphasized the moral and spiritual order. This included private matters like inheritance, land ownership, and family rights, all of which were seen as being under God's law. In the Bible, particularly in Levitical law, inheritance was meant to pass from father to son, ensuring that land and property stayed within the family, respecting the divine command to honor family legacies. This wasn't just a legal obligation, but a spiritual one, reinforcing that the land was a sacred trust from God. Common law in this context was seen as the law of the land, aligning with the supreme divine law as given in Scripture. Maritime law versus common law. Maritime law, on the other hand, operated in a different realm, one that dealt primarily with trade, shipping, and the movement of goods. Unlike common law, maritime law was not inherently tied to scriptural practices or divine principles. Its primary focus was on commerce and the regulation of international trade, often prioritizing profit and the mechanics of commerce over spiritual or moral considerations. To illustrate this point, we can refer to Jesus' words in Matthew 21:13, where he said, "It is written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer,' but you are making it a den of robbers." This was his response to merchants conducting trade within the temple, turning a place meant for divine worship into a market driven by profit. Similarly, maritime law, when it operates over common law, risks turning what should be a divine order into a mere transaction, neglecting the higher spiritual and moral values upheld by Scripture. The order of law, divine, common, and maritime, in the proper order of law, divine law, God's supreme law, stands at the top. This is the ultimate authority, as revealed through Scripture, and it sets the moral and spiritual standards for all other laws. Following divine law is common law, which is meant to uphold these standards in the day-to-day governance of land, property, and personal matters. Common law reflects the principles of justice, equity, and the sanctity of family and inheritance as outlined in the Bible. Maritime law, which deals with commerce and navigation, should operate separately from common law and never above it. When maritime law oversteps its bounds, it risks undermining the spiritual and moral foundations of society, prioritizing material gain over divine principles. The proper role of maritime law is to regulate trade in a way that supports, but does not supersede, the divine order established by Scripture. Colonial legal structures and inheritance. Understanding this hierarchy helps us see how the legal structures of the British American colonies were intended to function. Military land bounties, land warrants, and inheritance laws were all tied to common law, which, in turn, was grounded in divine law. The Land Office and the Postal Service worked to maintain these legal structures, ensuring that land and inheritance remained within families as intended by biblical principles. However, after independence, the new federal government introduced laws like the Homestead Act and the Dawes Act, which began to disrupt these traditional legal frameworks. These laws often ignored the scriptural foundations of common law, reclassifying land and people in ways that did not respect the established order of inheritance and divine authority. Conclusion. By understanding the distinctions between divine law, common law, and maritime law, we gain a clearer picture of how colonial legal structures were meant to uphold a divinely ordained order. This order was not just about managing land or commerce, but about maintaining the spiritual and moral integrity of society as guided by Scripture. As we continue to explore the legacy of these legal changes, it's important to remember the original intent of these laws and the divine principles they were meant to reflect. Thanks for joining us today on the Reading Nook. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into law, history, and identity. See you next time.